Oh, you got it. Okay. Oh, yeah. I was another city around here. I was like,
Alright, just thank you all for being here. I call this South Dakota School Minded Student Association Senate to order. Let's stand and say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. We're going to do a roll call like last week, so just holler out. We're going to move quick. Mr. VP, please take the roll.
Baumeister, Byrne, Butcher, Kent, Proxy Benish, Durning,
Here.
Graham, Halstead, Hill, Jensen,
Here.
Jensen, King, Lauber, Keel, Myers, Salcido, Sattler, Schiefbauer, Senchen, Smith, Stolman, Severson, White, Wright, Jamalovich. We have a quorum.
All right, thank you, Mr. VP. I sent out the agenda a few days ago. One thing to note with that is we will not be hearing item 6B, Vosta Dewey 26S010 Veterans Club supplemental request. We're going to be having conversations with Aaron Grimm about that and the supplement that is forthcoming. Other than that, all in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Objections? Agenda approved. Moving on, the minutes were just sent out today. Maddie, I think she's on the live stream. Yep, she's on the live stream. She sent out the minutes. There were 16 pages. That's a lot. But she did a wonderful job. So, do you want to delay it till next week? Okay, so that'll be delayed till next week. We can approve next week. Give you guys some time to look over that. It's sort of a hardcover book. All right, moving forward to open floor. I guess we're going to start with all in favor of moving the minutes to next week. Aye. Say aye.
Aye.
Objections? Okay, the minutes be moved to next week. Sorry, Chairman Keel. Let's move on to South Dakota Mines EWRI Club. This is a reactivation. Are they here?
I have here.
Okay.
Where would you like me to go? Okay. Okay. Hi everyone. My name's Sam Heppel, and I'm here on behalf of the SCSMG EWRI Club, a proposed club, I guess. So it says graduate student chapter. I just want to make it clear this is open to all students, even undergrad students. We're just kind of emphasizing graduate school and those who are interested in graduate school. So currently, very fledgling, we are not officially a club yet. So we have 10 interested graduate members, and that's just the graduate members right now. And we previously were a club at SDSMP. Oh, this is my outdated slideshow. It's okay. We previously were a club, but it's been inactive for 5 some years. I have not been around, or it has not been around since I've been here. Basically, we kind of focus on anything under civil engineering and also outside of civil engineering that regards like the environment, water resources, things like that. So benefits. There's a lot of benefits apparently. Basically, we're going to be focusing on kind of networking for our students and giving them access to resources. EWRI is underneath of ASCE, so they kind of have a lot of the shared resources there, just more focused on the environmental and water side. We're also working on providing opportunities for growth for our students that will be in the club, and I'll talk about more about how we're going to do that. Essentially, it will help Minds be recognized on a national scale, and will help kind of our students develop professional skills. And we're going to be working a lot with the local communities, working with industries out there, and doing outreach to things like K-12 education and just general in the public. So officers, so far we only have 3 actually specified. So I will be president, and I'm a senior this year in undergrad, and I'm a first year's master's student. So I will be here for at least a year and a half, and I'm trying to decide on PhD, stuff like that. So I might be here longer. And our vice president is a PhD student. She's in her 2nd year right now, so she's got a while left. And then Grace Belcher is also a master's student here, so she's got a couple years. And our faculty advisor is Dr. Stu Geza, and he's in the Water Resource Department of the Civil Engineering. So what will we do? We're basically going to hold kind of weekly, bi-weekly meetings, and during those meetings, we're going to be doing outreach with like local industries. We're gonna have lots of professional development things. And we're also going to emphasize kind of the social side of things too, via mentoring and social events for graduate, undergraduate students, just kind of get them to know each other. We'll also be emphasizing on practicing research presentations and workshops. I know that is a really big part of research, and even just my master's, I'll be doing that probably like 5 or so times. So practicing and getting feedback from other graduate students who are doing the same hopefully will be very beneficial. Funding, we have an EWRI grant, and we will probably work on doing fundraising events, not set in stone yet, and we are not requesting SOAP funds. So goals for next year, this is the very old slideshow, I'm sorry. Goals for next year, we will be doing fundraising and community involvement, and we'll also be working on increasing campus involvement and awareness, And so we'll be doing that by going to ASCE meetings. We'll go to like other clubs, like Chi Epsilon is another civil engineering club, and trying to kind of raise awareness in general about us. We also have in mind going to freshman classes, like the intro class for the civil engineering department, kind of starting off early, showing them that we are here and this is kind of what we do. And I had one other slide that is on there, had a little pie chart that showed about student demographics that was supposed to be on there. So essentially mostly master's and PhD students, but we also had about 3 to 5 members in like the junior standing and sophomore standing, and a few seniors as well. Sorry I had to say that verbally and not with a pretty pie chart. Do you guys have any questions?
Senator White?
Have you thought about looking into bringing that up to like the atmospheric and environmental classes?
That's a really good idea. I mean, do you think there would be interest in that?
Definitely. With Weather Club being something like that, we have a lot of stuff where we have a highway somewhere near Keystone that we have to go clean up once we like in fall. So this environment's something that we do worry about too.
Okay. Yeah, definitely going outside of the civil engineering department would be a great idea. Thank you for that.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, let's give her a round of applause. Thank you, Sam, so much. All right, next up we have Dr. Kyle Knight, Department Head of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences. We'll call up presentation here. Would you like to click it? Sure. All right. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. It's nice to have this opportunity to chat a little bit about our department and then answer any questions you may have. So we're a fairly sizable department, 15 full-time faculty, including myself, plus 3 instructor or lecturer track faculty, and then usually a varying number of a handful of adjuncts. Right now we just have 2. And this is across more than 10 disciplines. It's a very multidisciplinary department. Our major program, Science, Technology, and Society, is an interdisciplinary academic field, so it's represented in what we offer. Our staffing has been pretty stable since 2023. Not a lot of turnover, which is nice. We have a really collegial, solid group of faculty, dedicated teachers, and engaged scholars. Just today, in the environmental literature and culture class, we had some raptors in there from the local raptor center. So hawks and owls, right? Yeah. And that was, to get students engaged and thinking about some nature topics in that course. We also, I should say, have some rock star faculty in music. Some of you probably know them well, Dr. Armstrong and Dr. Skeppers, and other faculty that do a really good job of engaging students like Dr. Talmadge. Right now, we do just have 1 vacant lecturer position in English. And then I have some dangling something there about class. I'm not sure what that is, but the department, when I came in, was named the Humanities Department and the Social Sciences Department separately. It was the Departments of Humanities and Social Sciences. We renamed it to Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences to reflect that breadth in our department. We have a pretty broad impact on campus. In the fall semester, we have about 60 course sections. In the spring, about 40. In any given semester, about half of all undergrads on campus are in at least one of our classes. One of the things that we've been seeing since I joined in 2022, and I should give you a little bit of background on myself, but I came here in summer of 22. I was at the University of Alabama in Huntsville previously. I was there for 10 years, chair of the sociology department. But one of the things that we started noticing a few years ago is shifting enrollment patterns. A lot of students bring in dual credit. Probably many of you brought in some credit with you. If we're looking at the impact that has on my department, more than half of students come with some credit for a class in our department, right? So that's 1 less class they'll take. The other big thing is that over a number of years, most departments on campus, most programs, have removed what was a long-standing requirement to take an upper level or a couple upper level credit courses in humanities and social sciences. That was part of the general education requirements at one point in time, but no longer. And so that does limit our ability to offer a broad range of upper level courses. You may have seen those offerings kind of become a little more limited. It's partially because of that, because we don't get enough enrollment in them for them to make. The new civics requirement that came down from the Board of Regents, that has also had an impact because it basically limits the course that many students will take to something in civics, which we'll start offering in the fall, or political science like American government, or U.S. history 1 or 2. So that means they're less likely to take other Goal 3 courses. So those are just some of the kind of challenges that we face due to really broader structural kind of issues, not necessarily anything inherent to what we're doing in the department. Our vision for the department and where we'd like to go, the direction we want to take it, is grow the Science, Technology, and Society major. Right now it's about as large as it's ever been, with 18 students enrolled. We have other programs. This is our primary one. We also house the Associate of Arts and General Studies degree as well. One of our main goals in the department is to help develop students' human-centered skills. These are durable skills that are applicable across a wide range of industries and organizations and roles. We have a new minor in creativity and collaboration in STEM that incorporates art and music and psychology and other social sciences and communication courses. We are always trying to improve our courses. We do a lot of assessment in this department. We revisit courses. We have some changes coming for our Computers and Society class. We're going to call it Computing, Culture, and Society and update it a little bit to reflect more recent developments in computing. And then we're always looking at improving STEM Comp courses, and we made some pretty substantial changes to those in recent years. We are offering more sections of STS 201, which is our Introduction to STS, or Science, Technology, and Society course. So more students have the opportunity to take that. Previously, we had only offered maybe one section a semester, or a year even. We also make a lot of effort at improving writing skills across campus. We had one of our one of our professors in English actually worked with ECS, Dr. Magoo there, working on some of their labs and the way that writing is taught in those. But we also do a lot of other things. We have a writing resources coordinator assigned in the department to reach out to other departments and learn about writing and what kinds of writing is valued and what writing looks like in other disciplines so that we can better support all of you as you're learning in those STEMCOM courses and figure out how to apply that to your major. Last year we created the Howard Wells Public Speaking Competition. It was a donor-funded event. We're doing it again this year. Got a couple participants in here. The deadline was just yesterday. The grand prize for that is $2,000. Second place is $1,000, and it goes down from there. That is an effort. You know, the donors really wanted to see speech and debate on campus, but their broader concern is that we see that communication skills are valued at Mines in a really tangible way. And so this is what we came up with their funding. So I hope to see you in March at the event in the Beck Ballroom. I'll be announcing that soon. The other ways that we contribute to campus, especially the culture of Mines, is through the activities of the Music Center. You probably all have been to at least one concert or participated as a musician or a singer in a concert. We also have art shows regularly. We have the student art show, the faculty and staff art show, but also visiting exhibits. Lately we've been highlighting the artists in residence at SURF. So we just had Chris Combs, and last year we had Marty Tubles Jr. And we'll have hopefully have the next artist in residence here as well. And of course, like special shows like the Dinosaurs Come to Life, which is a collaboration between Professor Whitehead and Professor Vargas Ordonez in mechanical engineering. We also have coming up soon, I don't have the date on the top of my mind right now, but Team Trivia Night. That'll be held in the Slide Rule. You can win some prizes with a group of your friends at that. And we recently had Zine Fest, so that highlights this sort of interesting way of communicating, these little handmade magazines that have had a long history in various underground subcultures, and seeing ways that we can use that medium as a very non-digital way to share information. And those were exhibited in the Apex Gallery as well. Sorry, I'm looking over here. Even with glasses, I can't see that. But the other thing that we did that I'm happy to have done, and it really pleases me when I walk by this room now. We used to have this very dark, dingy room on the first floor of the classroom building, and we used a Raising for Rockers campaign to transform that room into a much nicer space. I used to never see students in there. Now it's rare to not see someone in there. You usually see quite a few people in there. So I feel like that's been a really positive change in the classroom building. You asked about research standards and updates. Faculty in our department, their assignments are a little different than for many other departments. We're very teaching heavy, so they're about 80% teaching, 10% research, 10% service. So in terms of our research, it looks a little different than it does for many other disciplines. We have a strong culture, though, of scholarship and engagement with our faculty's academic disciplines. Faculty regularly, about every month throughout the academic year, presenting their in-progress work at what we call Lunch and Learns in our department. Students are always welcome to come too, so if you ever see those announced and it sounds interesting, feel free to come. And so like I said, they're active scholars, they're publishing articles, book chapters, they're editing book volumes and special journal issues, they're creating new musical works and other artistic forms. And they're also collaborating with other departments. So we have collaborations currently with metallurgical and mechanical and civil and environmental engineering on various topics for externally funded research. And so you can see down here just a little kind of snapshot of some of the scholarly works our faculty have produced. And you also asked about educational standards reviews and updates and vision for that. One thing I will say is that we do a lot of assessment in our department. We have a lot of the general education courses. 4 out of the 6 goals are in our department, 1 through 4. And so we have to assess each one of those goals every 3 years. So every year we're always assessing at least 1, sometimes 2. We do program assessment. We're generally assessing courses that are part of that program every year. And then we're also conducting course level assessment, where if a course is not assessed in one of these other ways, it gets assessed every once in a while at least for those as well. And generally the goal there is that we make sure that we're meeting the stated outcomes of a course, but also trying to work to improve them always, because no matter how finished you think a course is, the next year students are different, societal conditions are different, and so on. I always make sure to involve in annual evaluation discussions with my faculty, student evaluations, right? I want to talk with them about the feedback they got from students, how they're thinking about it, how they might do something differently because of it. We regularly in our department conduct peer reviews of teaching, so like newer faculty, they'll get assessed by their peers, which includes classroom observation at least twice before they go up for tenure. And then it's a little more infrequent for more senior faculty, but that still happens for them. The other aspect of review that we have is comprehensive program review. We're undergoing that right now. Part of that is looking for improvements in our STS program. So we are making some substantial curriculum changes to that that I think will just be a major improvement. We're also looking forward to, with President Tandy's vision for the university, is ways to connect more with the innovation-based learning opportunities that are being created. And so that's my main presentation, but really I'm most excited to hear what you have to say, and I have sort of 3 main questions that I would love to hear any thoughts you had about, but if you want to ask a different question than me, feel free.
Questions, comments? Senator Jensen.
I was going to ask, you said that because of students taking dual enrollment classes, you've noticed a dip in attendance, but shouldn't students taking dual enrollment classes like here locally should want to like take classes with us?
You would think so, right? But often students in high school are doing dual credit. They're encouraged to take classes at the university they hope to attend, right? So students who want to go to SDSU or USD are more likely to take an online class from those institutions. So we're also somewhat limited in our ability to offer online classes. We only have so many faculty, and so any class that we move to online is one less face-to-face class here on campus, right? And that's a trip.
Yep. Matthew Erickson, yes, Senator Hill here. One idea for you: have you considered doing a collaboration between the mechanical department, doing sort of canon design first half, and then turning that canon design into a presentation, like dressing it up, not just technical details, but the whole presentation concept?
Oh, like
just as an idea to float to you.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. We'll think about it. We have we've talked with departments about ways to enhance what they're doing in terms of writing and thinking about writing, but also for us to be able to help students do the kind of writing and oral communication and presentations that they want to see. So yeah, that definitely should be a part of the conversation.
VP Reed.
So inevitably, people are going to use generative AI in many of your department's classes. What are your thoughts on that, and how do we make sure that students coming out of mine are still able to communicate, outside of these tools?
Yeah, so that's a big issue, especially for our disciplines. I think one of the sort of knee-jerk reactions is to say, like, just don't do it. Like this class, there's no AI, and as you know, that's a surefire way to make it's not going to make any difference. It's not going to make AI go away. So I've been encouraging faculty to think about the way they're designing assessments, so that it is harder to use AI for the really critical parts, right? the parts where a lot of thinking happens, where a lot of the critical engagement with the material and original thought occurs. I'm not really worried about using AI to spruce up something, although I think you do lose a little bit of voice when doing that. But really want them to students to engage in the real process of writing and thinking in a course. So for my courses, I usually teach one class about once a year, Society and Technology, Sociology 285. And so I try to build sort of scaffolding into any written assignments where you're coming up with an idea and then we'll talk about it. Then you're coming up with an outline and we're going to talk about it. And you're coming up with a draft and we're going to talk about it. And then the final product. So it's never just one and done. Okay? So that's one way to kind of address it. It's not full repeated.
All right, well, let's thank Dr. Kyle Knight. All right, so moving on, we have Dr. Jeff Magoo, Department Head of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. Is the clicker going to work with the PDF?
I think so. We'll try.
We'll see. Otherwise, you can dial it up, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Where do you want me to stand?
Anywhere.
Okay. Well, it'll have to be something that I can hold on to because I'm not well balanced. Okay. So, my name is Jeff Magoo. I am the Department Head for Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. I've been on this campus since 1998, so I've been here longer than I think everyone, right? So I can answer any sort of history questions you may have about this department or the school. I'm very proud we finally got a brand new sign outside the department. I've been working on this for 3 years, so I know it's kind of crazy to talk about it. But just getting the drywall up, painted, it took a fair amount of effort. So anyway, we're formally branded using the same one that you see mechanical and civil. So excited about something like that. But that's okay. So let me just back up. Let me talk a little about the history before I jump into everything. We've had a lot of changes in my department. It's been just a tsunami of change over the last few years. In 2018, math and computer science was split. Electrical and computer engineering was split. We combined computer science and computer engineering. And then in 2022, electrical engineering was merged in with computer science and engineering. My accounting, my books is still not caught up. I still have legacy accounts from dozens of departments around. So we're still in the process of trying to bring everything together to get a single culture. And so there's a few growing pains in that, but it's also very exciting. It brings a lot of possibility. But sometimes when you run into something, it's a legacy of something that happened. 2018 may seem like it's pre-COVID, which is forever ago. But in terms of the South Dakota state legislative system and our information systems, that's just yesterday. So we still have a lot of legacy things. If you see anything that looks weird, come and talk to me. Just so I can tell you, you can barge into my office and make demands, and that's awesome. Okay, so what is it we do? So we have a few programs right now. So in terms of catalog programs, we're looking at 6 undergraduate degrees. So I've got computer engineering, computer science, the AI, the artificial intelligence and machine learning specialization. That's a separate catalog program, and it's accredited separately. Computer science, cybersecurity specialization, separate program, data science and engineering, and electrical engineering. These programs are ABET accredited. So Kyle talked a little about assessment. So we go through a 6-year cycle of what's ABET assessment. That's the main assessment cycle for most engineering programs, and I'm sure Jim Stone and Pierre Larochelle and others have talked about that. That's not the only assessment systems we have in our program, where we do both yearly and semester-wise assessment of both courses and faculty. So your student evaluations, they come in, I read them all, I combine them into a report, I sit down with faculty, we go over. It's just a matter of how we can have continuous improvement, which is the sort of the ABET model. So we're constantly looking at the feedback. So if you wonder, like you write something in there, I see it, and so I get the feedback, and so the more constructive feedback you can give on these, the more we can use it. When you say something like, "Oh man, I didn't like this class," that doesn't help me tune it. So be specific in your evaluations, and then the heads Dr. Knight and I can really go in and tune the classes. So we have a lot of assessment, a lot of, and for faculty, we meet with them, I meet with them on a semester basis, we have a yearly evaluation. We have a 3-year annual review for a faculty member going up for tenure, and then there's a promotion and tenure, big review, and then maybe 5 years later when they go up for promotion. And so we have a lot of assessment systems both with our degrees and with our majors. In graduate degrees, we have 4 existing graduate degrees, so a master's in computer science and engineering, a master's in electrical engineering, a PhD in data science and engineering. That is shared. That degree is sort of co-hosted with mathematics and industrial engineering on this campus and with computer science at USD. So it's not only is it a multi-department, but it's a multi-institution PhD program and a PhD in electrical engineering. Dr. Hoover and I are, albeit dragging our feet a little bit, are currently working on the paperwork to push out the master's in data science to kind of fill that in. Boy, for some of you who are interested, we'll try to get this ready for you if you want to hop into the program. If you're interested and it's not quite there, jump into one of the other master's degrees and we could get you moved over. We also offer 4 minors, so we have avionics, computer science, robotics, and systems engineering. And I know several of you have one of these, so I've signed many forms on that. So that's the overall number of catalog programs available. So it makes, we're one of the largest departments with respect to discrete programs. We are also one of the largest departments with respect to both faculty and students, number of credits done. So I think the leader on campus is probably your department, you in mechanical engineering, Flip, for total number of credits coming in, and then it's civil and my department for the next level. So we're a big department right now. Okay, there we go. Sorry. All right, there. It was just slow. Okay, so it's a complicated landscape, and so you might wonder, what the fudge? I think it's exactly where we are here. It's after 5, right? How do all these relate? There's an awful lot of overlap, and I'm going to get into AI, which has really sort of blurred everything. It's made the landscape. Well, it's really complicated for Dr. Knight. It's really complicated for us. So a lot of these things are all blended together. Just for visibility, I didn't overlap them as much. When you really do this, all of these programs are almost all overlapped if you look at what we do. So if you look at electrical engineering, computer science, data science, there's a lot of relation there. It's all mathematics, applied mathematics, right, at some level. But what that means is that there's a lot of synergy, there's a lot of cooperation within the program. So, if you're a student in data science, you can take courses in other areas and sort of really broaden yourself, augment your skill set. It allows us to be very interdisciplinary within this ecosystem. And it also shows that, I think for an engineer, you don't want to be so narrow. You want to be broad and well-rounded and be able to interact with these other disciplines and others. So it's a pretty exciting landscape that we have. And I think it's been a really fun department with respect to just all the different things you can do. One moment you're a data scientist, the next moment you're building antennas and electromagnetics, or you're working in smart grid. So pretty cool thing. So in terms of spending, this is a horrible slide. I know that I would get scolded because it's all text, and that's, I'm told that's not good design. But really, to get all this up here, within the department, if you're an undergraduate, you can basically specialize, in other words, enhance your skills within a certain area. So for example, if you're in electrical engineering, there's a couple of obvious things. You can be in power, you can be in electromagnetics, controls, there's a few things there. Right now, power is the favored child of EE. Everybody wants to hire power engineers, but there's a lot of things that one can do. But another thing is you'll notice there's a lot of overlap. If you look at certain areas in computer science, we have AI. Certain areas in data science, AI. Even in electrical engineering, when you look at power systems, smart grid, it's AI-delivered local power delivery, or AI-controlled local power delivery. So a lot of things that are going on. So principally in computer science, AI is the sort of driving factor via cybersecurity, quantum computing, various forms of HCI, and then cloud and edge. That overlaps a lot with data science. That's still some AI, it's data engineering, maybe a little more applications related to large data analytics, But you look at that and you say, I work in mechanical and I'm doing all of this. Absolutely. Computing right now is innovated, it's connected with everything on campus. Computing is becoming a lot like mathematics. We're seeing every department have core computer science requirements, and a lot of folks that are, my son, he promised me all through I guess it's middle school here, middle school and high school, he would never touch a computer. He was going into mechanical engineering to be an aerospace engineer, and he was not going to work on a computer. His title now is software engineer. Yeah, he does computational fluids and all sorts of things, but he spends all day on a computer. And I think that's going to be the reality for a lot of you. You need to have computing skills. So a lot of things we're doing here will resonate with y'all's degrees. And I'll get to that later. The things that we're trying to do, a lot like Kyle's department is trying to be able to reach out and make a lot of this a little more available and usable. Computer engineering, everything related to hardware. Computer engineering is digital hardware. It's electronics on the digital side. And then electrical engineering, power, communications, robotics, quantum, and some biomedical. So I don't want to take too long, so you'll be able to go home at some point. Here's a picture. I said I've been around here forever, and this is in the basement of the classroom building. I think it's 107 was the room. That was one of the camp rooms down in the basement of the classroom where we had the robotics team. So this is the robotics team. This is about 2007, before I had gray hair and I had a working leg. So a long time ago, this is the founding unmanned aerial systems team. So, and then Tony Logar, one of our long-term computer science faculty. But this is sort of where we're at right now. 190 comp sci, 75 computer engineer, 125 Ws, and then a couple dozen grad students, and probably up to 21 or 22 by starting of next year. Let's see, electrical engineering has spent 30 years nationwide declining in enrollment. Super psyched that we've turned it around. So first and second derivative, first derivative is 0, second derivative is positive, right? I can say that to this audience. Okay, we're past a lower convex there. So we should be increasing, and I hope we can turn it around locally. Countrywide, I don't know what's going to happen. With the investment of CHIPS Acts and the investment in power and data centers, I'm hoping Dudley will have a return. For the entire time I've been here, I've tracked computer science had about a 12.5% growth. It was growing. Got COVID, it was kind of like that. And then guess what happened? AI. And nationwide, we've seen a 25% drop in students going into and in computer science. They're fleeing like rats on a burning ship. And so it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. People are scared. There's bad press. They're saying you won't get a job. There's a lot. The news locks into some things that are not true. We still need software engineers, and AI can't do that. But I'll get to that in a bit later when we talk about it. Computer engineering is cruising along. Our programs are pretty healthy outside of that. Okay, this is the parolees. All right. I didn't have time. If I had more time with Gen AI, I was going to do Prisoners of Azkaban and put us in this for y'all, but just ran out of time. So we'll do that for Halloween on our digital signage. So this is the group. Some of you may know we have a brand new admin. Anita Brenneman came down from athletics, or depending on who you talk to, I stole her from athletics. I don't know. She's joining us. She's fabulous. We are in the process of searching for an electrical engineering faculty member, principally someone in power systems or power electronics. My first goal is to hire someone in power electronics so we can light up the EV classes and sort of the power systems courses. We're also looking at a computer engineering faculty, someone who can help with edge computing, IoT, sensors, and medical devices. So that's our current. We're interviewing. We have our first campus visit this Friday, and then for the next couple of weeks, we have people coming to campus. You'll see the flyers go out for the talks. We'd love you all to join in on the student talks so you can help us select the faculty member. The computer engineering faculty member will also be the person we have in mind to take over. I think most of you know the senior design, and our department's called Capstone. So that they'll be sort of tasked for those two courses and really directions. So moving on. All right, research groups. You wanted to kind of know about our research. We have active research. We have, let's see, I just got about a $1.5 million grant for doing biomedical computing. We have multiple 500 to 1.2 million grants related to AI and data science. So the areas for which we do research, data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, we have a research group in that. Dr. Hoover's group, cybersecurity, Dr. Okoa's group, high performance computing, that's Dr. Carlson's group. We have cyber physical systems and robotics, so Dr. Barabian, and controls, we can throw in Dr. Gracie. Smart grid is Dr. Zhao. Antennas and microwave would be Dr. Rim, Dr. Montoya. So very active research. You all can get involved in these things. You mentioned something about the sort of the way we divide this up. We're about 45% research, 45% teaching, and 10% service. So that our split is a little more traditional in campus. Half of a professor's job is doing research, and roughly, I mean, just slightly less than half for research, slightly less than half for teaching, and then a little bit for service. So, you know, the activities you might see in or around campus on committees. They're active researchers in terms of publishing, writing grants, going to conferences, developing new technology, interacting through the state and through the country. So we're, I think, doing very well. We're working on growing the research as long as we can maintain the balance with the teaching enterprise. Okay, so let's jump into this. AI. Probably the most disruptive technology recently for, I think, all of the white-collar jobs, especially in computing. I have a senior design team right now, and their update today was, yeah, well, Claude wrote all the code for me, ... Okay. I don't think that's bad at all, by the way. I don't have a problem with that. Where we have the problem is what Dr. Knight brought up, is we have to make sure that students understand how to code. They need to know the thought processes behind writing code. They need to understand that something is valid code. Is this correct? How do I test it, debug it? One thing they can't do, that Claude is not good at, is the software engineering. So all the things you do when you look at a problem, well, you look at something and you say, I can identify the problem. I know what that problem is. And I know how to break that problem into solvable pieces and affect a solution in each one. And you may look at it and say, you don't need any bloody computer, you just need to write it down on a piece of paper and put it on your desk. So there's a whole lot of higher order skills that you all have that Claude and Gemini and ChatGPT and all this whole family, they do not have. So our challenges right now is that how do we get you to that point? You can, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I'll say it, you can take a picture of your circuits textbook, upload that circuit to ChatGPT. Don't do ChatGPT, don't do Claude, it gets it wrong. But ChatGPT will solve it correctly. It will apply, and so I'm going to tell you, for the double E's in here, it will apply KCL and KVL correctly at each node and tell you the currents, and it'll give you a solution. Claude doesn't know how to do superposition, that's the problem, but ChatGPT does. Okay, so, or you're in CS1 and CS2, and Dr. Belcher or Dr. Takura says, I need a code snippet for this, and you go to Claude, and it gives you, it's beautiful code. So how do you learn? So that's our challenge right now, is how do we make sure that, because the first 2 years, that beginning level of engineer in a company, that's been solved. How do I launch you, or how do we take you from someone out of high school to where you're now possible for a senior engineer? You can step into the role as a software manager, software engineer, software designer. So we're figuring, I don't have an answer, we're figuring that out. And for all of our disciplines. It used to be thought that it's only CS it's affecting, but I've seen right now it's starting to affect electrical engineering, certainly in computer engineering. It writes all the VHDL you want. It'll walk you through 242 without a problem. Talk to Dr. LaRochelle, it's like, yeah, it's starting to build all the SolidWorks CAD for us now. So we need to be able to figure out how to train you. And I think there's a different model of what engineering education needs to be. And that's the main focus of my department, is how do we pivot to this new form, this new landscape of giving you all the vocational, hands-on skills you need, but also the understanding and problem solving. So what have we done? So in computer science, a couple of years ago, We went out and we talked to our industry clients, our industry advisory board, our alums, and says, give us some profiles. What are the avatars out there? And we picked like 5 different individuals. And what is their skill set? And we asked, can we encapsulate that in a list of skills? That list of skills, and we did a top-down design, like you learned in engineering class. We worked from that, and we said, okay, what would that be in terms of a collection of electives and experiences? What do you need? Okay, we write that out, and then we back down one more statement. What level of core courses do we need to support that? That's the new curriculum. It has not been fully deployed. We did that experience, and that was in computer science, and that's why we pivoted from a C++ curriculum to a Python curriculum. And I heard all sorts of grumblings that was, things are on fire, computer science is going down, it's blah, 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 there was just a lot of trauma. It was just change. It's fine. But it was industry driven, not faculty driven. All our curriculum across the board, it's our advisory boards that set the curriculum, and that's back propagated into the core things. We are in the process of doing that in electrical engineering. It's going to take us a couple of years, but we need to pivot because of Gen AI. We need to change some of the courses. And I know it's traumatic. Like all departments, we'll do what we can if we're in process of changing, help you through that. Generally, the answer for me is go see your advisor, right? But we will get you through this process, but we need to pivot, right? You don't want to see a course on vacuum tubes and variacs or a course in Fortran, right? So the pivots are coming, and this is how we're doing the changes in our curriculum. Because I know there's been a lot of questions about the classes. But I can answer more in a bit. So one of the things we're doing, how we're dealing with AI, the evidence we have is that experiential learning is much more effective. You can sit and see all this theory come by, and you don't retain it. If you get all this theory and you're just taking notes, it actually doesn't stick with you. But if you walk into a lab and you work on a problem and do something, you'll learn it. And if that material that came by came from AI or from a professor, it doesn't matter. Where it cements is in these experience-based courses. That's where you really learn it. You hone it and you develop those skills. So it may not really matter whether Gen AI is there or not if we can make sure you're learning through some sort of project-based learning. And we don't care whether it's innovation-based learning, work-based learning, whatever BL that's the flavor of the day. It's all BL, right? So we'll look at this particular, and we're going to look at experiential-based learning. I've hired someone to pivot in this role. We're going to build a whole scaffold, a spine, or a leg of a stool that's going to be related to experiential learning. So you have technical stuff. That's the classes you know. It's the circuits classes or fluids or whatever the core curriculum is. Your professional classes. What this gentleman's group does so exceptionally well, that gives you the skills you need in the workplace, which arguably are more important than the technical, but that's a hard sell at an engineering school. But I think it is. And then the experiential, learning by doing. So getting in there and getting in the lab. The difference between a project in the class and actual experiential learning is in the experiential side, we throw something at you where you don't know the technology. If you're enrolled in the circuits class, you know the project related to circuits. So here you have all the skills of working in teams, coming through and trying to understand what the problem is and how to do the solution. So this is the direction we're headed. We're hopefully being able to build professionalism, teaming, interdisciplinary work, all of these. This is it's in process right now. We're figuring it out, so you're going to hear more about it. It won't be implemented by the time you all graduate. Well, maybe some of the freshmen might see some of this come in. Sophomore. Yeah. Sorry. But we'll see. We can add that experience in for those that are interested. Okay, I'll keep going. We can loop back for questions. Okay, some of the things that I did when I came in. We did a lot of infrastructure changes when we landed. So this was the old lab. This was 342. We had big old power panels. That gave students the ability to directly connect their body to over 100 amps of three-phase. If you knew how to flip the right set of switches, someone was making a phone, you were making a phone call home to someone's family. So my first thing I wanted to do is get the green panels torn out because, I mean, literally, big fat copper bar behind those panels carrying hundreds of amps of 208 or 400 volt three-phase. It was not a safe situation. This was not HCA compliant. We couldn't move the benches. We couldn't get wheelchairs in there. I have a mobility issue. I had trouble. I can't climb upstairs effectively. You know, I have to. Okay, I can't teach in here. So we had a lot of work to make this open to everyone. And so we did that, and we ended up with what looks like a much plainer. You know, like, boy, that doesn't look very sexy, but it's ADA compliant. It's configurable. And Molly Ward Admissions and I are working on getting posters up for y'all. So that's forthcoming. We're working on that. But it's given us the ability to take a very vanilla classroom and do something, you know, this was where we ran the musical electronics. So we had high school students coming in, building amplifiers, playing with music, editing audio forms and stuff, and we had that configurability. And we can run solder camps and all sorts of things. So something that may be kind of geeky, but I'm pretty excited about, just making this a little more accessible. We've added a little bistro. Maybe it's cutesy, but anyway, we have microwave and food, and there's snacks there that many of you know about. So like there's, you know, Muffin Monday and Donut Friday, although that doesn't have much ring, and then there's, you know, ramen and oatmeal all the time. So we have that little place to eat. I'm trying to get eating not in the rooms, and so like not next to our power lab, but we also have a student study area if you follow through. Oh, there it is. Sorry, that's a horrible picture. It was. I must have been falling over. Anyway, so we have student study spaces if the library is not for you. So all open and available. We have a new power lab because power systems is a big deal. This is right when it came in. Those were temporary tables. They found out we were not supporting our power system, so we're going to lean into that and have that available for training if you're interested in that aspect. Pretty excited. We're running a raising for Rockers to buy more power systems equipment. But I think I've gone over my 10 minutes. Maybe. I don't know.
Senator Meyer.
Sir.
I'm at a meeting. And,
Cool.
I know we kind of had this weird thing where Dr. Lally left and Mechatronics kind of blew up. And I was just I didn't want to make any assumptions about where we were at, but I know we've had like concerns about like communication between the ME department and the EEs, and I know that in my senior design it'd be super helpful if I had the EEs on my team. I don't know, it seems like there's been a lot of rumors about like not good communication or a good relationship between the two departments, and I was just kind of like expressing my concern about, hey,
that is concerning. I'm not running senior design this semester, so I would be like a second hand. Sure. It was my understanding that the EE projects, the EECS projects, we had more of those and they all filled up.
Right.
And so, I think what Dr. Payette told me this morning is that he thought 30 to 40% of the teams were interdisciplinary. But there's biomedical engineering, there was industrial engineering, that's spread across a lot of departments. So the number of interdisciplinary projects is lower,
right.
And that we fill. That's typically what happens. We have a very passionate and supportive set of our advisory board and industry advisory board. They give us projects, they give us funding. Those tend to fill up. So I would think it's more of just that than lack of cooperation, but
it's not just the senior design, it's like also the mechatronics and just other things, and it just seemed like I just wanted to ask from your perspective.
So
it seemed like there was a lot of
mechatronics is no longer in any of our curriculum.
Right.
That's an ME course. So yes, there is not collaboration there because it's not a required course for electrical engineering. We interviewed our students. We interviewed for 3 or 4 years running, and the EEs didn't want. They saw no value in the mechatronics class for them, and not no value that the material wasn't valuable, but they were getting it in other classes. So their comment is, I would prefer to take credits where I'm learning new material than repeating what I'm seeing in mechatronics. And so based on the exit interviews, the faculty talked about it and said it is more important to look at something else. The other thing is the FE exam for electricals and electrical computer engineering combined exam. Our EE students were not getting any computer engineering content. So we have replaced the mechatronics with digital systems and some content to better prepare our students. So that decision was based on EE students saying this was not a good use of their credit dollars, and they needed better FE prep. So that was the response. It wasn't related. I can guarantee you the faculty didn't want to make that switch. It was forced on us when Aaron Lally left, and we had to make that decision. We would have been happily let our students continue on, but then we really started looking at it, and that was in response to you all's exit interviews saying, no, we don't want mechatronics anymore. But I think every year there's an opportunity for collaboration, especially with this new experiential learning. I'm hoping we see more of that in interaction. I mean, Pierre and I get along great. I mean, you know, it's a fabulous group. I met with some ME faculty yesterday. So I think, you know, we can certainly do better. It sounds like. I'll answer your question?
I was just expressing a concern
Okay.
because it just seemed like there was kind of a disconnect, and we were asking Dr. Lauershell about, I had some of my constituents were asking about like programs possibly getting involved, and it was basically like, it's not my job. And there hasn't been communication.
Well, that's never a great answer. So I'm working with Dr. Lauershell right now on, I guess I could say, the robotics engineering program.
Yeah.
So we're looking at collaboration there. We're gonna share that program.
Sure.
So I hear your concern. We'll lean into it and try to make sure whoever engages in capstone senior design next year is a little more. I mean, I know that they shared the projects with the students, but they just. I mean, it's student selected, right? I mean, I don't direct that. It's our students pick the double ENCS projects, and so maybe that's just a change in culture we can work.
Senator Smith.
Point of personal purpose.
You bet. Senator Jensen.
Yes, I'll keep it brief. I was just going to say, I'd like to see more of that experimental learning, especially in EE 120. I think that 20 labs was like the best version of that class. So yeah, that's just
Noted.
something I wanted to express.
Yeah, and you can encapsulate all of your thoughts in an email to me. That's going to be the start of our experiential learning. I'm probably going to renumber it because I want to have the same number through the sequence, but 120 is going to turn into something like, you know, 150 or 160 or something, and we'll have a whole spine. That's what I'm looking at. It's just a matter of convincing old engineers. Other questions?
Senator Hill.
You said you can see feedback from the students. What's some of the most common useful feedback that you get on a recurring basis, and what's some of the most difficult you have to action on?
Difficult things are related to funding. So if there's interest in courses that labs we can't afford. So in the past, the power systems is an example. They wanted more power systems. That power lab I showed you, each one of those stations is pre-tariff $35,000 each. And so we had a donor come in last year who helped fund that and brought it in. So for us to grow some of our curriculum, it's a restriction in money. The other thing is frustration about restriction in courses. That we don't have a course in communications, or we don't have a course in power electronics. Yes, absolutely. I don't have faculty for that. I have one person for power. I have one person in controls, and they're pretty much tasked for the lower level courses. So I think that's, there has been frustration. I'm sure there's been some talk about, classes get canceled. The mechatronics got canceled. Statics and dynamics got canceled. We had that faculty member fall off a ladder and break her back. And we didn't have a replacement. So there's sometimes staffing issues that are frustrating. I'm sure that, so I hear that feedback. There's always, people who are like, Dr. Montoya grades too hard, or there's stuff in the weeds, but most of the time it's related to that it backs up to resources. So that's really where we have. On the positive side, we do get a lot of student feedback on they have, and I think this is true of all Minds programs, they get a really good degree. They hit the industry, they're better prepped than the comparative other engineers or other interns that they see. And we have, it's an ABET curriculum, so all our core is the same as everywhere, but I think we deliver it quite well. So, I can't read you, so I don't know, did I answer your question?
Perfect, I'm doing what I was supposed to. No, I'm good so far.
Okay, awesome.
Senator Blomeister.
I have a couple of things. So
Yes.
For capstone, a lot of changes happening, especially when Butterfield left last year. Great disappointment on that
Yep.
side of things. What are we looking like for the future of Capstone within the village?
So, in an ideal world, we hire computer engineering. To understand, this double search has been open for about 6 years. I mean, it's very hard to hire electrical engineers and computer scientists. Our salaries here, you could look them up, you could see it. We're at $90,000 to $100,000 a year for a salary for a professor. Starting salaries for comp sci and AI is well over 100 for a bachelor's. All right, so it's very difficult to get people in. So my goal is to hire computer engineering faculty and have them take over Capstone. Worst case scenario is Dr. McGue takes over Capstone next year. Okay, I taught it for a decade. It's doable, but I'm a horrible professor because I'm a department head. You can back me up, or maybe not. You're great, but just being distracted, right, with other duties. So we will make sure that we can recapture some of the things that Brian did. I mean, he did a great Capstone, and that's just not reproducible. It was a terrible loss. I mean, we also lost our software engineering instructor. We lost a whole lot when he left, and we didn't have anyone in the pipeline ready to go. Dr. Montoya and Dr. Payette stepped up, but it's an overload for both of them. And so it's as much as they can manage, right? I mean, are you in it this? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've witnessed.
Yeah.
There's room for improvement. We could talk about it offline.
Yeah.
Your second point?
Second, I was going to ask if with regards to ED120, personally with, I came in with a fair amount of credits, and so I really did not enjoy 120.
When did you take it? Did you take it when Jason and I were doing it?
I took it after. Yeah, I took it when it was just for teaching.
Okay.
It was, put it bluntly, wasting my time. I didn't really learn anything. It was mostly learning how to connect to the resistor and the circuit board.
So I heard we read all the feedback that you all delivered.
Yes. I was going to ask, with regards to future where people are coming in with credits, is there a way that 120 could be morphed and be, movable to the student to be able to line up with? We want to introduce electrical engineering to our incoming freshmen at a level that shows them what they can experience here. And so someone who's coming in with a lot of credits, seeing an entry-level 120 course, which they have to take, would not be as beneficial or interesting to them. Where being able to say, all right, you're coming in with a fair amount, here's the classes you're taking, why don't we align what you're taking with 120? Let's build a project. What do you want to do?
Okay. Do you want me to jump in to tell you what the changes that have happened this year and then address your... So 120 is no longer a prerequisite to 220 going forward. It is no longer a course in electrical engineering. It is now one of these EBL courses. It will be next. It will be the first in the this experiential learning sequence. So it's going to be, so we feel like, and I think this is campus-wide, you have 3 years doing all this theory, math, all this abstract stuff, and then you run screaming into senior design, boom. And there's no prep to it. So what Mr. Ward is looking at is how can we have a sequence? Mechanical's a little ahead of us on that one. How can we have a freshman experience, a sophomore experience, a junior experience? So having an EBL 1, 2, 3. So the first one will be this 120. So 120 as the course you took and the ones before that, gone. EE students will start in 220. That will be the starting course. And those skills of what is a resistor, how do you bend the resistor wires, which you're like, how do I bend the wires, how do I plug it into a breadboard, how do I see that I'm in J5 with the wire lead, all of that will be baked into the labs there that will get that aspect. So I agree with you, it wasn't terrible. The problem we have just is that I have students coming in that have been DIY building. I have one that designed his own version of a Raspberry Pi,
designed the PCB, the circuit, did everything. He's coming in, he knows how to build microcontrollers as a high school student. He's in the same class as someone who's never seen a resistor before and has no idea what the difference between voltage and current is. So that course was trying to get everybody on the same page. I tried it. It was a dumpster fire of epic proportions. I admit it. We reinvented it 3 times. We're like, this is just not working. We'll start you in circuits, and then start this experiential learning that Mr. Jensen voted for. So we will. So I hear you. We can't completely fix it. You're going to have a broad set of experiences. I need to look at your background and say, okay, should you skip over something? Yeah, that's a transfer decision. But my goal is not to get you out of work. It's not for you to skip over classes. Or my goal is to make sure that you have a 4.0. You're fabulously trained. It's not to make it easy or pleasant or for you to like me. All right, my goal is to make sure that you have the highest possible salary offer when you go out into the workplace, that you're best trained for lifelong learning, that you're going to be a really super happy engineer. And if we have to have a little bit of pain earlier on, okay, you can yell at me in the office, and that's fine. But I do listen to you, by the way. Your comment about 362, I still remember. I mean, we're looking at that in the curriculum. We take that into account. Have I used up your whole hour? Am I?
Yeah, I think we'll just do one last question.
Okay.
Senator Meyer.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I also was just going to comment on. I know you just finished a little while ago talking about resources being one of your challenges, but I was just wondering where it was on your scope, because I remember taking circuits, and there was like 99 kids in there.
Mm-hmm.
It was several semesters ago even, and I've heard it's almost bigger now.
It's bigger. It's 108 right now.
Yeah, and I was just kind of curious if there was any. I know Dr. Neha is super busy when she's teaching those courses.
The poor woman has all the circuits. Yes.
Yeah,
so where are we right now?
What it looks like. What does it look like on getting staff that could teach that in some shape, form?
Oh, I would love to. I'm now officially $3,000 in debt in my operating budget, based on hiring too many TAs last semester. We spent out 75% of our budget, of our TA budget last semester. So I'm trying to figure out how to make, it should be 50%, right? To try to figure out how to offer classes. I had to cut down the number of TAs this semester. Not something I want to do. So we are backfilling it a little bit. So I've canceled all travel. So I'm not sending faculty or graduate students on trips to conferences. We've cannibalized that. We're cannibalizing some of our para funds, this place, to hire more TAs. But resources is a huge problem for us. And I don't have a good solution other than, please, when you graduate, consider donating and supporting TAs. We also it's not just finding bodies. We need to find bodies that are good instructors, that are somewhat warm and fuzzy and can help you learn. Some of that we hope to offload with AI. We have Gen A look at bots to help some of that. But did you have an agenda after this meeting, and when does this meeting end?
We still do have an agenda.
I'm so sorry. Is this something should I say that I'm available in my office if you have questions that have other things?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a question for the table here.
Yeah, I have a question. The supplementary, because if it's sending students to conferences, is there a way that Senate and the research can help fund travel for graduate students to go to conferences?
CFO Shai?
We can talk about
that at a different time.
Yeah.
All right. So any other questions forwarded to Dr. Magoo? Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you. All right, we're going to move quick here to the rest of our business. No, you're Thank you, Dr. Knight, as well. Moving on to Boston, B26S005. Excuse me, Senator Syverson.
Point of personal privilege.
Yep. All right. 005, presented by the Athletic Committee, presented by Senator Stolen. Has there been any changes to it?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. We saw this last week, Mr. VP.
So I met with Gavin Nelson from facilities and talked about the logistics of it. He was pretty against both of these proposals. But I don't want that to sway your guys' opinion. I want you guys to vote as you think would benefit the students, right? Obviously, their job is to implement and to make sure things are practical. Our job is to see what students want. So I'm just putting it out there, though, that logistics-wise, it's going to be a slim chance that we get this through.
And another caveat here is, just because, say, like we passed this through tonight, which is our, ability to do, does not mean that it will be official parking procedure, right? That goes to university cabinet, which when we voted on, which Kathy has to say on with facilities. So if you feel like you would like to see this measure here, I'd say do not let any other department or anybody else sway that thought of yours, because it will go to the proper departments to weigh out and be voted on at university cabinet level. We are here to vote on this resolution only. With that, do I have a motion? Baumeister.
Motion to vote.
Motion to vote, seconded by Senator Senchins. Mr. VP, please take the roll.
Baumeister.
Aye.
Burnt.
Aye.
Butcher.
Aye.
Cantz.
Nay.
Clausen.
Aye. He's not.
Sorry, Senator. Yeah, Rox.
Thank you.
That was an aye?
Yeah.
Durden.
Nay.
Graham.
Nay.
Halsted.
Nay.
Hill.
Nay.
Jensen.
Abstain.
Jessen.
Aye.
King. Aye. Clobber.
Aye.
Keel.
No.
Meyer.
Nay.
Salcido.
Abstain.
Sattler.
Nay.
Schaefbauer.
Nay.
Senchins.
Aye.
Smith. Stolman.
Abstain.
Severson. White.
Abstain.
Wright. Yermolovich. Okay, so 8 yeas, 9 nays, 4 abstains. So motion does not pass.
Okay. Now what that means, Senator Stolman, means that you can stick around with this recommendation, but it'll be on behalf of you as an individual or with other people tagged with you if you discuss it with them. If you have that, just talk to me about it. We can get it written up and I can present it to the University Cabinet. Moving on, 26S006, Senator Stolman, presented by, nothing has changed in here. Do I have a motion? Senator Senchins.
Motion to vote.
Okay, do I have a second? Second, Senator Baumeister. Mr. VP, please take the roll.
Baumeister. Burnt. Butcher.
Nay.
Cantz.
Nay.
Clausen. Or proxy.
Aye.
Durden.
Nay.
Graham.
Nay.
Halsted.
Nay.
Hill.
Nay.
Jensen.
Yay.
Jessen.
Aye.
King. Aye. Clobber.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Salcido.
Aye.
Sattler.
Nay.
Schaefbauer.
Aye.
Senchins.
Aye.
Stolman.
Abstain.
White.
Aye.
Right, that's 13 yeas, 7 nays, 1 abstain, motion passes.
All right. Thank you all for doing that. Senator Keel, do you have a point?
Yeah, I'd just like to bring up, and this happened before when we vote on things, because that's our job, but I don't think that just because a senator feels that they're too close to an issue or something that they should abstain from voting. Abstaining from voting is if there's, well, I really don't know what it's for, because we're here to vote, so.
Yeah. I guess
That's all I want to say.
that's a point of their privilege to do, but it's just, it's essentially saying, like the legislature did today, you push it to the 41st day. Meaning you don't want to take the responsibility to have a yes or no. Either you don't want to take heat from people or you don't know, maybe you don't know enough about it, but we've seen it more than one, or seen it at least once now, so thank you for that point, Senator Keel. Moving on, 26S007, originated by myself and DPW, presented by me. I will reread this again because there was just a few things about the storage and usage purposes that were added. I'll read through it very quickly. Senator Burnt, you have a point of personal privilege. Granted. Okay. Whereas the Music Center needs improved audio equipment for outdoor events, and whereas Dr. Harry Scheppers, Director of Fires, has requested $1,700 to purchase equipment listed in the attached proposal, noting this equipment would greatly impact both students who participate in the music program as well as those who take part in events such as performances and football games, and noting a strong precedent exists for utilizing reverted SOAP monies to fund projects which benefit the general student body, and whereas the requested audio mixer would be primarily housed at the O'Hara Stadium sound booth for usage with the availability for it to be used at other events on campus upon request with proper training if necessary, and whereas the requested microphones and supplemental equipment would be primarily housed within the music department with the availability for them to be used at other events upon request with proper training if necessary. And whereas the process for requesting such usage for an event outside of the music department activity shall reside within the scheduling department, therefore be it resolved by a majority vote of you, signature of me, that $1,700 be allocated from the SOAP Reverted Funds account 4SA003 to the Music Center for this equipment purchase. Senators Meyer.
Motion to vote.
Motion to vote, seconded by Senator Keel. Or excuse me?
Is this the first reading?
This is the second.
Oh.
But I had those changes in the 3 whereas statements describing where the audio mixer would be stored, where the microphones and equipment, meaning the cables, would be stored, and thus where to reserve it with the scheduling department. So I just wanted to read through that. Do I have a second? Seconded by Baumeister. Mr. VP, please take the roll.
Baumeister.
Aye.
Byrne. Butcher.
Nay.
Cantz.
Aye.
Clausen.
Aye.
Durden.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Halsted.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Jessen.
Aye.
King. Aye. Clobber.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Salcido.
Aye.
Sattler.
Aye.
Schaefer.
Aye.
St. John's.
Nay.
Smith. Stolman.
Aye.
Severson. White.
Abstain.
Wright. Jamalevich. Yeas are 17, nays are 2, abstained 1. Motion passes.
All right, thank you all for doing that. I know Dr. S. appreciates it. Moving on to Vosted We 26S008, presented by Senator Baumeister. Is anything changing here, Senator Baumeister?
Don't believe so.
Okay, seeing none, VP Lee.
So, I spoke with Kathy about this resolution as well, and she was surprisingly did not have problems with it, except she felt like 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. would be a better time slot. But if you feel like graduate students would prefer having up to 6 a.m., that's up to you. That was just her thought.
Senator Baumeister.
I was hoping that maybe 1 or 2 graduates would have the ability to show up, but apparently not. I did go and meet with them, what was it, last Friday. I had a unanimous vote from them on this. I took a survey as per your guys' request. I don't have the ability to send out an actual survey electronically, and so the best thing I could do was go and talk to them, which is kind of my job anyways. So they were all strongly in favor of this. They really did appreciate the fact that something was being done. They had concerns with regards to safety was their biggest thing, not necessarily just convenience. And so they really would appreciate that. And going off of the other side of the concerns was that how is it going to be implemented, or what was faculty's opinion. Like I mentioned before, that's kind of on the board to kind of figure that out. So please take that into consideration.
Okay. Senator Meyer.
I know Senator Seaman has been expressing concerns about like research not supposed to be being done at certain times of the night, or was supposed to be done at a certain period, except for like, of course, like time sensitive things. Is that addressed?
Senator Baumeister.
We're very, very careful. There are 24-hour-long experiments that happen. There are long-term experiments. There are things that grant money that they need to be doing, and so that they need to go in and Chevron, or sometimes it's not even working in the lab, sometimes it's working in the office on their paper, working on this stuff, putting together, while maybe they're not in the actual lab doing things, they are working through their flat notebook, working through doing calculations for them to be able to do these things, and that needs to be done here.
Dean DeLugos.
Yeah, two really quick things. When I was working on my PhD, it was not here. The only way I got my dissertation written was by setting my alarm for 3 a.m., going to my office and writing it. I just couldn't do it without that extra time. So that could be happening here, although I hope our graduate students are getting sleep too. And then to address your question, Senator Bolmester, about not quite sure how faculty or employees might feel about this. These hours, campus closes at 4:30. As long as you guys move your car by 6 a.m., this one employee's voice, and I'm on the university cabinet, so I will be voting. I have no reservations about this one. I have a small fear that it may increase parking tickets and appeals, but that would be, unfortunately, if they don't move, they don't move.
Yeah. All right, do I have a motion? Senator Meyer. Motion to vote, seconded by, who do I have? Senator Salcido. Belmashny, you've already done it. Mr. VP, please take the roll.
Baumeister.
Aye.
Butcher.
He's in the back.
Cantz.
Aye.
Proxy for Clausen.
Aye.
Curtin.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Halsted.
Aye.
Hill.
Nay.
Jensen.
Aye.
Jessen.
Aye.
King. Aye. Clobber.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Salcido.
Aye.
Statler.
Nay.
Schaefbauer.
Aye.
Sinjins.
Nay.
Smith. Stolman.
Nay.
Severson. White.
Aye.
How do you vote, Senator Boucher, on the graduate parking? Aye or nay?
Nay.
All right. Yeas are 15, nays are 5. Motion passes.
Thank you all for doing that. Thank you, Senator Boucher, for your brutal honesty. No, it's sincere. That's good. A couple of years ago, we wouldn't have had that, so that's good. Moving on to new business. That concludes our unfinished. Senator Cantz.
Point of personal privilege?
Yep. Do you have any report from non-trad before?
Real quick. I got the template from Jillian, so you'll see some scholarship database promotion by the end of this week. And then I asked Dean Joe's office to see what the email list looks like with students 24 years or older with previous college experience. So we'll see what that looks like. Hopefully.
I also emailed the board.
Oh yeah?
To see if what determines that if what their demographic is, 24 years or older, is the only students are in the Regental system that are defined by that.
Okay.
If I get an answer, I'll let you know. They're usually pretty slow.
Yeah.
It's the board staff, not the board regents, so just for the record. VP Week.
I'll be contacting you too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. 26S009, originated by Constitution Committee, presented by Senator Keel. Take it away, Mr. Keel.
Whereas South Dakota School of Mines Technology EWRI graduate student chapter was deactivated last year due to no correspondence of organization members, and noting now there are several collected individuals looking to reactivate and reestablish the organization, including myself, to be formally recognized and resume their activities. And whereas only reactivation approval by this body is needed for this organization to be established once again, therefore be it resolved by a majority vote of the Student Association Senate, signature of the Student Association President, and that the SD-SMT EWRI graduate student chapter be reestablished as an active student organization.
And we will see this next week?
Right.
All right. Thank you, Senator Keel. Moving to time to open discussion. Do I have any comments on House Bill 1325? Senator Sattler?
Sure. I testified this morning on House Bill 1325 for proponent testimony in regards to it. We were the only school giving proponent testimony. The rest of the schools gave opponent testimony. It was moved to the 41st day, though there are efforts to revive the bill in the legislature.
What were the results of the survey, just for the record?
Oh, survey was 86% in favor of removing the requirement for sophomores to have.
And how many votes total was there?
Roughly 320.
All right. VP Week.
Do you have anyone from public relations still here? Can we, can we make sure to get on the release for the results of this? Well, actually, let's give it 3 days. It could still resurrect.
Smoked out.
In 3 days. So, but be on the alert. We'll want to release something like we should have or will do before we get results.
11:33. Seeing no other points on this bill, moving on, CFO report.
Yep, so you guys didn't see the Vets Club supplemental today. That's because we're hashing things out with our business office and Kara over here to see how things are going to look on both our ends. Next week, Tuesday, we're going to have a meeting with CFO Simmons and the business office to discuss how the university is doing, investing funds, things like that. I'm probably going to also add a line item to that about the possibility of moving things like Vets Club and clubs that are currently housed over here to the school, but we'll see how that conversation goes. Are there any questions?
Seeing none, thank you, CFO Schock. Moving on to VP report.
I'm going to say no report.
All right, it might be history. Mark it down, folks. Moving on to my report. I would just say thank you for bearing with us. We had a meeting with City Councilman Lehman and a city engineer today about potential internships and sponsorships within the city. Other than that, no report. VP Week.
So to add on to that, we also discussed having a meeting with
I knew we got it.
D'Amico Rodriguez on Monday. Chase, are you able to make it Monday, 10 a.m.? President's Day?
We'll chat more on that.
I'll reach out to you.
Okay. That was all I wanted to add.
Sorry, I stole your thunder there, Clyde. Moving on to international report. The report that I have to give, because you have it right there. Alexander's not able to make it tonight, so.
Yeah, so Senator Yamalovich wanted to mention that the Association of Bangladeshi Students reached out to him about making a short video for Mother Language Day on February 21st. They're looking for people who would like to say a short phrase in their native language. If anyone would like to participate in the video recording, please let him know directly. So please reach out. I don't know what they're going to make you say, but hopefully it's nice things.
All right, moving on to that report.
I have an update about Nemo.
Still there?
Okay.
Yeah, so the, not according to the people that passed through. So there's one restaurant in Nemo, and it's owned by a guy who doesn't like that we do food for donations for the Shriners. And apparently he's either the mayor or the sole resident, and so it's my understanding that no longer will be doing the food for money for the Shriners. I doubt there's anything the school can do to assist us in giving him 3,000 one-star Yelp reviews. I'm happy to incentivize that. But consider this a PSA. Just because you've done something for 10, 15, or 75 years doesn't mean it's going to keep happening.
What is PSA?
Public service announcement,
Oh, okay.
I assume. Yeah, something like that. And so it's my official recommendation to the Senate to not try and do donation gathering at Nemo, because he sounds like a fucking retard. Sorry, a Belgian retard.
Point of order.
Noted. So, he gave us 3 weeks to work through it, so he didn't wait till the very, very last minute.
We usually do this fundraiser at outhouse races.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And when is the outhouse races going to take place again?
Should still be the last day of the month.
Last day of the month. Okay. Okay. Are we having continued communication with this fellow, or is there any way that he can stop us from fundraising?
I would be happy for input from higher ups. My ability to fundraise is not tied to his arsenal. So,
Joe, do you have any comments?
Well, I want to chat with Director Plum.
Oh, yeah.
See what we can do. Yeah. This is the first I'm hearing it. So.
Okay.
Yeah, very disappointed.
Yeah.
That's
Not just for Shriners. Like,
Oh, yeah.
This is
Yeah, so the school paper's headline of local food monopoly kills children at Shriners Hospital might be a bit long, but we can tweak that if you want.
Maybe the alarm, can you put that in the Rapid City Journal?
I got a front pager for him.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll check with Derek.
We can get you connected to the Rapid City Journal. Not a problem. Thank you, Senator Hill. We'll have more communication soon. ROTC report.
The National Guard has agreed to look at our rappel tower. It's right by the King Center, so that might get rebuilt in the future if there's money. If there's no
Alright.
Any report?
VP Weave.
Do you know how much money that would be if there are alternative ways to find money? That'd be really dope.
Our main way would probably be donations through like alumni, or it would be through SO funding. But currently, the National Guard or the Army Corps of Engineers would be our primary.
Do you have an estimate?
I do not have an estimate right now. All the places that we go to get an estimate require us to like pay for that estimate. So we're trying to run it for free. So we might hit up the civil engineering department.
Thank you, Senator Durden. Any other questions or comments for Senator Durden? Seeing none, moving on to graduate.
Yeah, I do have a report. So I met with GSS last Friday. Some great donuts, by the way. No one else showed up. Anyways, well, okay. Anyways, talked to them, got a lot of feedback, which was really helpful. I try and keep it short and sweet. I went and talked about putting together a document to help coordinate, consolidate all of their complaints, issues, and everything all together. GSS board met and they voiced some concerns and with regards to doing a large document like that, especially with some of the international grad students.
Continue.
Yeah, and so when I talked to them, there's a lot of concerns with being protected with the school where HR doesn't actually protect them. I don't know if that's something that should be happening or something that's not currently but should be changed so that it does happen. And so they are consistently, there was one graduate who actually had a faculty member take their research, push them off the project, and then just call it their own. They tried going to HR, and HR said, not my problem, ain't my circus, ain't my money. So, I don't know what can be done on this level, but great to hear more feedback.
Senator Keel.
I don't know what kind of shadowy things are happening with the graduate students, but why can't we just extend our, well, I assume it's open to them anyway, our anonymous box that we get crazy things from?
It is open to them.
Should we push that?
I believe Senator Molasser.
If you're talking about the electronic one, they won't fill that out.
Then use the wooden one.
Yeah, so that is what I am working on, is I am taking the wooden box every week to there, and they will be having a additional meeting where they just have a full rent session to fulfill our suggestion box.
Senator Keel.
So that seems, to me, having a session where you're expecting people to show up and then write their complaints seems like a way that if somebody has a serious one, they aren't going to actually do it. You know, we had the complaint box outside of the Senate office because it's very passive, and at any time of day you can go and drop your comment. So it seems to me that you should have that same kind of passive thing.
Right.
Or just tell them to come over to serve and do it in our box.
Yeah, they know that they know that it's there, and they do. I have seen some people use it, but it's the bringing it to them so that they can. It's not going out of their way. It's bringing it to one of the meetings that they all do, and just being like, if you want to rant, we're going to be here for an extra 20 minutes. Let's just go at this.
Senator Jensen?
Point of personal privilege.
Okay. Senator Meyer?
Discussion.
Okay, so I have a second. Limited discussion. Stoll, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Objections? Discussion limited. Thank you, Senator Bowmeister. We have already had the non-trad report, Constitution Committee.
Thank you for listening to the EWRI presentation. I know that seems like it was a very long time ago, but it was this meeting. And we are working on making amendments for the Constitution for this body to look at.
Thank you.
Oh, and pickleball, since November 5th, we haven't heard from them. We have the we resumed communication this last week.
Probably a little bit sooner than the U.S. and North Korea. All right, VP Weed, did you have a comment?
Yeah, is there any update on like the logistics of?
Not since Monday.
Okay.
Okay, moving on, PR. Anybody here?
We put up posters for vice president and president nominations, and we made a pretty goated Insta post, so go like it if you haven't already. That's all.
All right, questions? Seeing none, moving on, GR.
The Pizza Ranch fundraiser was kind of a flop. We got like $93, but that apparently is because we need to advertise better. Like we were only advertising to the school. Was that right? 93?
Yeah, that's what the manager was telling us.
96.
96. Basically, we're thinking about doing it again, but the problem is that we weren't advertising to a lot of people and getting them to know. Is the idea. I don't know.
So I still haven't heard what the incentive plan is. Like, do they just randomly assign us money? Like, we need to know how this
Is
works.
it 10%? Is it 20? What is it?
I think it was 10%.
10%?
Of all
And then we get
sales.
tips. Yeah, of all sales.
So they only
Is
make
it-
$930 in sales. Okay, or 960. Go ahead, Senator White.
If people put like cash chips on the table, then we can take that. That was ours.
Yep. Okay.
And then real quick, I'll have Ivan talk about his survey. Or is Ivan?
He's gone.
Oh, he did what? Okay, never mind. He sent a poll or survey to the group chat. This is for a trivia night. Just kind of a fun getaway from all the crazy business that we've been doing. I know we've been having these long meetings, so just fill it out. It'll be kind of fun, similar to the other presentation night, but just some bonding. I'll keep it short. GR is doing some pretty cool stuff. Finally got Dominic some work to do and keep the ROTC guys honest for the vets. And we're going to be doing some pretty cool stuff with the city and the state, and we just talked about it this morning. And so if you guys want to know what we're doing, just ask me afterwards. We're doing some pretty cool stuff.
And a report?
Yep.
Okay, questions, comments? More will be coming out about all the fun stuff, the cities and state, lots of stuff dealing with the summertime, America 250, and internships, partnerships, projects, events, everything. SA, student affairs, anybody?
Connor said an email reminding people of the suggestion box is pending approval, and then he had a talk with Kate Walls and got info on free laundry, and he will talk about that next week.
Okay, thank you. Do I have any campus ad hoc committee updates? Parking appeals?
We're going to meet next week.
Okay, EHS&R?
No.
Okay. Commencement, Jade will be here next week. We can ask her. I've asked for a meeting to be set up. Housing and dining? Nothing. Okay, wellness, anything? DPW?
The wellness fair is tomorrow.
Yes.
So go to it.
Yep. Sir Beck, anything?
I think we're working on getting a tour and just talking about what's going on. And then I'm going to roll by them on to the grand opening.
Yep. Campus beautification isn't here. Athletics, anything pertinent?
Mental wellness series is coming right along. We'll have our student athlete mental wellness night on Tuesday, and then it's mental wellness games, the last one being the basketball season. So keep an eye out for news on that.
Okay. Upcoming VP week.
We also have a run team kind of partnership that's pretty dope.
Yes.
All right. Upcoming Senate business. We have Dr. Jade Herman next week talking about commencement. The ask. From us, Mayor Solomon is here next week. Please, like if you can, stay for the entire time, please do so. Dr. Brian Tandy will also be here, the president, to give his strategic update. It's going to be a packed meeting. I'm getting some input here. Constitutional changes, the first reading should be next week as well.
No.
No?
No, the week after.
The week after, okay. Senator Baumeister.
Quick thing, question to Clyde. Should ROTC have a line item on the agenda for the report?
That was a mistake on our part, the template, we need to still put in ROTC, yes.
Okay.
So I will get that in. Let's see, announcements, election petitions are underway. Grubby's birthday is on Saturday. Men's basketball, what does that say for you?
Men's basketball game, free cake.
Free cake on Saturday. Do I have any motions? Salcido.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded by Baumeister. All in favor, adjourn, say aye.
Guys, you did not do
It's just so we're gonna kind of work towards yeah, and so that's kind of what we're looking for. So basically,
I haven't even looked at any of the rest of the messages.
I mean, I haven't even logged into the email yet.
What?
I haven't logged into the email yet. I need to.
Yeah, I sent Robbie the sales email. I haven't looked at it at all.
Yeah, you added me, like CC'd me on it.
Yeah.
He doesn't respond to email. He's bad about it. No. I don't think he'll be in. Yeah, I was gonna go to the gym, but he's probably not gonna be in
It'd be nice to know if we get back.
Definitely. I think I might have time tomorrow after class to stop by. I'm going to class by 12:15, so, well, I'm not sure if I'll probably and then I'll let y'all know.
I think we're going to have to strike this video from the record. Portions of it.
Yeah, at least cut some stuff out.
Not your U.S. North Korea one.
Well, thanks for recognizing
I think it is. I know, I was just, yeah.
Do you want to know how to disassemble?
I don't know.
I have faith.
I'm guessing it's cord.
I'm guessing it's just kind of, I don't know if you have to like stop the recording there, or if you just like, you just stop it. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep.